Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, thanks for joining us. Today I'm going to be deck profiling my Gravekeeper build. So this is a deck that I've been testing for the last year or so. Try to make it as competitive as I possibly can. So you can let me know in the comments or on the Gravekeeper Facebook page what you think, and we can discuss and do a wee bit of theory on it. So let's dive into it. So I play 3 Commandant. This card, if you don't know what it does, is you can discard this card from your hand to add a Necro Valley directly from your deck to your hand. So he's just basically the deck's very own terraforming, which is amazing, and he's great ash bait. Then we play one of the newer cards, Gravekeeper Spiritualist. So Gravekeeper Spiritualist is the poly for the deck. So if you control Necro Valley, you can use Gravekeeper monsters from the field or in hand as fusion material. Then we play 3 Gravekeeper Recruiters. Gravekeeper Recruiter is basically the searcher for the deck. To be honest, he's really slow, just because you can't get him in the grave. There isn't a link monster or anything that can get him in the grave quick enough, because it has to be sent from field to grave. So if he was 200 attack points less, we could have used Almirage, but sadly we don't get what we want all the time. He was really hard to try and actually pick up a while back, until the speed shields came out. So these are speed shield ones, so it makes it a lot more accessible and easier and more budget for other players to try and pick them up. I play 1 Gravekeeper Headman. To be honest, Headman's just another name for the deck. He can be useful in later games, but it's just the fact that he's restricted to only being a level 4 Gravekeeper monsters. So if you open up Recruiter and Headman, he's extremely dead. So that's why I only play him at 1. He's good late game, but early on it's basically null and void. It's just a more dead card. And I do play the Gamma package. The reason why I play the Gamma package is because I was sitting theorising and thinking, what's the best hand trap for this deck? And I wanted a card that I could use playing against, playing offensively and defensively, because I know we're not always going to be able to go first and stuff. So I thought Ash Blossom was quite dead. It doesn't really help us if we're going first, but Gamma really helps us. It can help us rip a card and help us build more of a board, and you'll see one of the cards that helps us actually utilise this card even if we have to play monsters on the field. So we'll get into that. I think Gamma's probably the best one, and it helps a lot defensively when you're going second and stuff, if you can actually Gamma the correct card at the right time. Then we'll go into the spells. Heart and Soul of the deck, Necro Valley. This deck doesn't work without Necro Valley, so it has to be maxed out. And with Commandant, and we also do play the 1 Terraforming. So we're basically playing 7 copies of this card. So with Commandant, Terraforming, it's just more bait to try and get the Gamma out. So you need to see Necro Valley. Then we play 3 Necro Valley Thrones. So Necro Valley Thrones has 2 effects. You can only use one of each effect. So its first effect is basically a rotor for the entire deck. So in theory you're playing 6 copies of every monster on the deck, apart from Headman obviously. So what its second effect is, immediately after this card resolves, you get an additional normal summon. So lots of people think you add and then you get a normal summon. It's not, it's one of these effects, so it's either one. The immediately thing is quite badly worded, but that's the rules and the ruling on it. Then we play 2 Hidden Temples, the Necro Valley. It's a blowout card depending on what kind of deck you're playing against, as long as they don't have any really back row hate main decked and stuff. So what this card reads is if you control Necro Valley and a Gravekeeper monster, no one can special summon. But if either the Necro Valley or else the monster leaves the field, you have to destroy this card. One Gravekeeper steal. So basically this card lets you add 2 Gravekeeper monsters from the graveyard to your hand, and it's not affected by Necro Valley. So it's good resources. That's why we only play it at 1 because we want to see late game, not early on. Then some people might go off ahead of this. We play 2 Royal Tribute. To be honest, the way that the deck works and stuff, we want to try and thin through the deck as fast as possible to help us see this card. I felt at 3 it was extremely cloggy, and it is good, but if you're missing one piece, or be it a monster or be it Necro Valley, it's extremely dead in the hand. Like, it is literally just the biggest brick in the entire deck. That's why I choose to only play it at the 2. For the draw pillar, we play 2 Potted Desires and 1 Upstart Goblin. Upstart Goblin just making it a wee bit more thinner at a 39 card deck. I chose Desires over playing Allure, which is the most budget option. Playing it over Allure or Extravagance, I felt like the extra decks can be more utilised a wee bit more to help try and grind out games and try to gain more advantage than what Desires would be, because theoretically you'd be wanting to either protect to get Necro Valley out, which you'll be using Gamma to try and protect it, and obviously you've got Terraforming, Commandant's not once per turn, so there's more chance you try to fish out your Necro Valley. So I just felt like it wasn't as much of a loss using Desires in the deck. And lastly, the last 3 cards, I play 2 Super Boys because it helps us blow out big meta decks, and I play the 1 Drones. So the reason why I play Drones in the deck is because Kagari basically gets us 2 monsters. So this is basically 2 monsters in the 1 card, and I'll go into the extra deck in a wee bit, and I'll explain why I feel like Drones is a definite card for this deck. So the traps, I play 1 Necro Valley Temple. So the reason I play Temple is it reduces all your opponent's monsters by 500 attack, and then if Necro Valley leaves the field, you can activate 1 directly from your hand or graveyard. So it means that you reoccur it more often, which I feel like the deck doesn't actually have recurrence from the graveyard for Necro Valley as much. So this is why I feel like we need this, especially if we're playing Desires. If we only have the 1 copy left in the deck, it just means that we can reoccur it, reuse it and reabuse it. And also it has a second effect that when it leaves the field, you can set any Necro Valley spell and trap directly from the deck. So it's quite decent in that it replaces itself if it's destroyed. So we play 1 Rite of Spirit. It's basically the Call of the Haunted for the deck. It's not affected by Necro Valley and stuff, and it can help us bring back Spiritualist. So it's quite decent. I only play it at 1 because obviously it's quite a low monster count, and we try to keep as much monsters on the field as possible at all times. Then we play 1 Imperial Tomb of the Necro Valley. It's basically the counter trap for the deck. It's searchable off of a Spiritualist, so I only play it at the 1, but I do play 3 Solemn Strike and 3 Judgment. I felt like the 2 Judgment and the 1 Tombs was the correct ratio, because these 2 are great if we open them up, and this is searchable, so it just felt like it was better to run this at 1 and these at 2 to try and make up the 3 main counter traps. Then Solemn Strike, which just basically stops your opponent from playing when they try to special summon their main monsters and stuff, and it stops you from getting hand trapped. So that's another way to look at it. So we'll move on to the extra deck. Well, I play the one Kagari. I play Kagari because with drones, as I said, this becomes just a 2 monsters, and those 2 monsters that we tend to use it to try and get into is Lambda, a Beat Cop, and Cross Sheep. Lambda, you can't use tokens for Lambda, so the way that I do it is if we try and bait them out with the Gamma and we have a normal summon on our hand, and it depends on the hand that we can reoccur them and actually get Spiritualist out as well. That way that we know that we're going to get another interruption, because if you use the Kagari, you've got the other Link monster on the token on the field, and a normal summon monster. We can, and obviously Gamma and Driver, we can then use them to link up to Lambda. We know we'll let the Gamma, so we put the Driver in the graveyard, we let the Gamma get banished, so we get to add another Gamma to the hand, so that way we've got another interruption. Then we've got 2 other zones that we can use to try and usually get another wee bit of advantage gained. My card of choice for that would be Beat Cop, because if we've got Necro Valley on the field, I usually let the Gravekeeper monster and the token go into Beat Cop, tribute Beat Cop, to add a counter onto the Necro Valley, just to add a wee bit more protection, just in case your opponent does have a wee bit of back row hate main depth. So that's the reason why I feel like Gamma is extremely good, and I don't feel like I need to really explain Cross Shape. It's used in every fusion deck, and it's just a wee bit more advantage. Then I play 1 Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend just for time, and 1 Cyframe Lord Omega. Don't feel like Omega needs explained. It helps you recycle your Cyframe monsters into the grave for whatever reason. If Driver gets banished, he helps you do that, and he helps you rip a card from your opponent's hand as well. So this guy with Royal Tribute is extremely good. Super poly targets I'll get into. We play the new Predator Plant monster, 1 Quintet Magician, 1 Dragos Depelio, Mud Dragon, Starving Venom, Winda, and Mechaba. I feel like these going against the current meta and kinda, well, not the current meta, sorry, mostly the rogue strategies and stuff, that these are the best super poly targets that you could really be playing. Mechaba, with things like Dragmas coming out, so you're going to see a lot more invoke stuff, so you can try and get a wee bit extra negation in the form of disruption as well with the super poly Winda against the Shaddoll decks, and I feel like these don't really need explained at all. Quintet is just for if you're playing against a pendulum matchup, they're starting to build up, and obviously your spellcasters as well, so you can get him, and then he's extremely hard to try and get off the board. And the same with going against Shaddolls. If they are like building a big massive fusion board, then Quintet could pop up as well. Then the last 3 cards I play is Spiritualist. I feel like Spiritualist is extremely good. I could have cut them down to 1, because I feel like the games, if you play the way that you want to play it, the games don't tend to last as long against this deck. But I feel like 2, just in case you come up against that match that's extremely grindy and stuff like that. So I think it's always better just to play him at 2. And he protects your Necro Valley from being destroyed, which is good. And also the annoying thing, and I don't understand why they've decided to like kind of nerf him, in terms of during your main phase you need to activate his effect to add a Necro Valley card from your deck to your hand, but it's only during the end phase you get to add it. So I don't understand why they've done that, but in some cases it is really good, because it means that we definitely know we're going to have fuel for our super poly as well, so we can set the back row and we know we're going to still have a live super poly, which your opponent may not think of. So yeah, it's quite decent. So that is the deck profile. If you liked it, please give it a like. If you want to see more deck profiles and me doing more theory, I might even do some test hands or show you the combos if you like that. So if you want that, subscribe, comment, and just give me more support, and I'll try and do a lot more deck profiles in the future. Thanks everybody, peace.